In this video, I'll be discussing the Summary Export tab and how it can be used. The Summary Export tab is useful for three different reasons. One, you can use it to compare two or more alternatives of the same strategic action. Two, look at all your strategic actions and assess their overall risk on a single page. And three, export the ISAP form as a PDF for documentation, sharing, and briefing others. Before viewing the Summary Export tab, the ISAP form needs to be filled out in its entirety. As a reminder, the instructions, terminology and definitions, and risk matrix tabs can give you the information needed to work through the other tabs. The Values tab needs to be filled out with the value and its severity of impact at a minimum to populate the Strategic Action tab. The Strategic Action tab needs to be filled out completely for the Risk Summary tab to work. The Summary Export tab summarizes information from each of your Strategic Action tabs: the Strategic Action Overview, the person days needed to complete it, the estimated cost, and probability of success. It adds 4 new pieces of information: the percent responder risk, percent critical values risk, a percentile risk map, and a recommendation block. The percent risk block show how much of the assessed risk is owned by the responders and the values. In this example, for Strategic Action 1, it shows that responder risk accounts for 69% of the total risk with this strategic action, with 31% accounted for by the values. The percentile risk map shows a visual representation of the risk to responders and values. The bubble plots based on the amount of risk assessed. As it moves further right, more risk is assessed to responders. As it moves up in the chart, more risk is assessed to values. The map also shows a visual representation of the recommendation block, showing the need for periodic versus continuous assessments of risks to responders or values. If you are comparing two alternatives, as shown in this example, you can use the size of the bubble to help determine the amount of risk assessed by each strategic action. In this example, you can see that the responder and critical values percent risk of each action is fairly similar, nearly 70% for responders and 30% for values. There is a distinct difference in the size of the bubbles, showing that if we are comparing those two alternatives, there is much more risk associated with Strategic Action 2 due to the person days associated with each action. If these two strategic actions were on different parts of the fire, you could also compare the risk of each action. In this example, if you are showing Division Alpha for Strategic Action 1 and Division Bravo for Strategic Action 2, Strategic Action 2 holds the majority of the risk, and you would likely want to be paying more attention to Division Bravo. Finally, clicking the Export button will ask you where you want a PDF copy of the entire SRA form to be archived to. File names will be auto-generated based on the name of the incident and the date you input onto the form.